Good evening, and welcome to the 2018 Town of Innisfil Municipal Candidates Debate. My name is Deborah McGrath, and I'm very honored to be your moderator this evening. This event is being co-sponsored by the Innisfil District Association and the Innisfil Community Church, and made possible by the many volunteers who have provided invaluable help for both the 4 to 6 meet and greet and tonight's 7 to 9:30 p.m. debate. In my experience, words of appreciation and acknowledgement often happened at the end of an event. Tonight, I'd like to take a moment to thank Pastor Courtney for his wit and his wisdom, and for working with me on this event. No small feat. Absolutely, thank you, and please clap for that, please do. It was a joy working with Pastor Courtney. His out-of-the-box thinking, and you're going to see some of that a little later on, and collaborative approach to every aspect of this event was refreshing and fun. And that's what we are trying to do tonight for each of you. Provide some information, engage you as a public, and give, most of all, our candidates a forum in which to address each of you. To the amazing IDA, Innisfil Community Church, and Toastmasters volunteers who have stepped up, thank you. We are so much richer for your help. To our audience members, thank you for showing up. Thank you for being engaged and participating in municipal politics. Quick reminder that this event is not bound by the Municipal Elections Act. As private organizations, we offer this event as a public service to the candidates and to the residents of Innisfil. Finally, we are not affiliated with any of the candidates, nor are we receiving any remuneration for this event. Is that true? Where's Pastor Courtney? I need to speak to you about that. For the benefit of everyone, please allow me to review some simple housekeeping items. For tonight's meeting, we will follow strict rules of decorum and civility. To provide a speaking opportunity for all 24 candidates, we are employing the use of timing lights. I'm going to direct your attention to Madam Timer, Lorraine, and I will review the timing for each segment of the debate, and to assist our candidates, there will be an auditory warning bell. Wonder if we could hear that now, Madam Timer. Oh, Christmas is coming. The green light, and we'll go through the timing, the yellow light, and then the red light will be employed to keep us on time tonight. Now, somewhat like the Academy Awards, if you exceed your time, the microphone will not very gently disappear into the table. Rather, Oh, he did it. See? That was clever. He simply hits a button and poof, no more sound. Thank you, Pastor Courtney. Here's that sense of humor. Let me tell you what to expect tonight, in our format tonight. I have to start by saying that never in the history of the town of Innisfil has there been 24 municipal candidates. 24. So I think that deserves a round of applause right there. As such, the logistics of how to do this proved challenging, so we got creative. And here's a quick overview of what to expect. The first group on stage are from wards 1, 2, 3, and 4. And if you got one of these handy-dandy cards, you'd know all their names. Their names are also at the front here on tent cards. Please note, we have had the following regrets. Matthew Kenny and Ina Shafir, both from Ward 4. Each of those candidates are going to have 3 minutes to speak. They leave the stage, and the next set of candidates to come up on the stage are from Wards 5, 6, and 7. Each of those candidates will also have 3 minutes to speak. Third up on stage are the deputy mayoral candidates. There are 5 of them, and they will have 5 minutes to speak. We have had, please note, regrets from Paul Best. Last up on stage, and to remain there until the end of the debate, are the mayoral candidates. There are 3 of them, and they each have 10 minutes each. Anybody done the math? About 103 minutes. So I think I heard this just recently. Buckle up. We're here for a while. And I thank you. We did extend the meeting to 9:30 to allow for further questions and thought it would be fair and equitable to run this portion of the event like a lottery. Remember to fill out a card to get a chance to have your question asked. And here's the bonus. Every single one of these cards will be transcribed and shared with every single candidate. So your question will be asked of all 24 candidates. They're going to be randomly chosen, and I'll do a little bit more of that when we get closer to the 9 to 9:30 portion. In order to keep us on time tonight, thank you, Madam Timer, for my timing lights. We are going to start with our first set of candidates. And our first set of candidates, I'd like to invite Wards 1, 2, 3, and 4 candidates to come up to the stage. Please find your name and seat yourself in front of the tent card. Wards 1, 2, 3, and 4. They're in alphabetical order. We are going to start with Ward 1 candidate, Kevinis, 3 minutes. The timing is as follows. You will have a green light at 2 minutes, a yellow light at 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and a red light at 3 minutes, and then Pastor Courtney goes poof. Thank you. Please proceed.
My name is Kevinis, and I'm running for Ward 1 Councillor. I was born here, I live here, and I work here. I'm a third-generation farmer, and I'm the only one who lives in Ward 1 that is running in this election. But first, let me tell you a story. There was a realtor, he was driving down the road, and all of a sudden, this chicken flew right by him, running down the road. As he got up a little closer to this chicken, he realized this chicken had 3 legs. As he followed this chicken further, the chicken veered off the side road, and then he went into the farmyard, and the realtor followed and met the farmer, and he said, is that your chicken? And the farmer said, yeah, that's my chicken. I raise him that way, with 3 legs. And the farmer says, well, when it was just me and the missus, we liked the drumstick, and that was all fine. But then when Junior came along, I got tired of fighting over that drumstick, so I just made them with 3 legs. And the realtor said, well, how does that taste? And the farmer says, I don't know, I haven't caught one yet. So I used that story to talk about 3 drumsticks, and those are my 3 things that I would like to accomplish if you elect me as your Ward 1 councillor. The drumsticks would be improved livability in Innisfil. The second drumstick would be to maintain the character of Innisfil, and the third drumstick would be to keep Innisfil sustainable. livability, for us to increase livability, we know that we only have a certain amount of taxes to work with, and I think that we need to do a better job with that for our bottom line. We all see frustrating things living in a town that is developing so fast, and I think it's up to council to make things better in that regards, whether it's spending money or looking after services. My second drumstick being maintaining the character of Innisfil. I've lived here my whole life. I know that Innisfil is a mix of rural and urban. It's a mix of city and country, and it's very unique. So I would love to maintain that and let everybody know how great Innisfil is. And the third drumstick is sustainability. We know on the farm, when we do things to the land, or we do different things, it affects the soil, it affects the water, it affects the air, and I think we need to maintain and improve that in Innisfil for future generations. So with that, I would love it if you would vote for me, Kevinis, for Ward 1 Councillor.
Thank you for taking one for the team, Kevin. Next up is Lindazanela.
Thank you. My name is Lindazanela, and I am a mother, a wife, and I have 4 children, and I have 3 grandchildren. I have 17 years political experience as a school board trustee with one of the largest Catholic boards in the province of Ontario. So I know my way around town hall. Ward 1 is a very unique ward. It is a ward consisting of a huge rural area, the village of Stroud, and Innisfil Heights subdivision. And these people all have voices, and I want to be the voice for each and every one in the ward and represent them at town council. I have been out for the last month every day going door to door talking to my residents in Ward 1. And many issues have come up, and they're the same issues that everybody has: the property taxes, the hydro, the growth, the roads. But the one thing that keeps coming up at every door I go to is safety issues and speeding. And speeding has become rampant in this town, all over the town. Especially so up in Stroud, where you have Yonge Street. It's become a major speedway. Innisfil Beach Road has become a major speedway. And what I've noticed up in the area in Stroud especially, it sticks in my mind because I'm appalled that children are crossing Yonge Street at a cross light. And there are more and more children coming into our area every day because there's more people moving into the area. There's more people traveling to work every day using all the side roads to bypass the 400. And those children, I don't feel it's safe for them, so I would like to propose to put in crossing guards, and not just at that one area, but there are other schools too where children need to be able to cross. They need to be able to get to school safely and home safely, and our children's safety is paramount, and we really need to look at that, and especially with all the increased traffic. I'd also like to, in the subdivisions, put in speed bumps, especially where we're going to have children walking back and forth all day long. So I'm asking you to support me. I'm asking you for your vote, and please vote for the face of change in Innisfil. Thank you.
Thank you. Our Ward 2 candidate, Bill Van Berkel, was acclaimed. I'm not sure if Bill is still here to thank you, Bill. We gave you a seat at the table. You're good. All right. Thank you very much, Bill. We are going to move on to Ward 3 candidates, starting with Tara Filto.
Good evening. I want to take a quick moment to thank you, members of the public, for being here, as well as everyone who's been involved in putting together this event. To the church and members of the Innisfil District Association, I truly am grateful for this opportunity to speak to everyone here tonight. With that being said, I probably have about 2.5 minutes left, so without further ado, it is with great pleasure that I introduce myself as your Ward 3 candidate. My name is Tara Filto. I am a mom, a wife, a local nonprofit worker, and a concerned community advocate. With a background in communication studies and over 10 years experience working for nonprofits, fundraising, and community outreach, I am excited to bring both my experience as well as my expertise to the table and work hard to represent the residents of Ward 3 and across Innisfil. I also look forward to representing the demographics of our town on council. Like many of you, I moved to Innisfil for that small town feel. We chose to purchase our first and forever home here, and we love the fact that we are just a few short minutes away from Lake Simcoe. We chose Innisfil as the town where we will raise our children. Like you, I am proud to call Innisfil my home. Whether you've lived here all your life or you just moved in last week, let us not be divided by the amount of time that we have spent in this town, but instead united as we all face the same issues moving forward. After moving to Alcona, I quickly realized that some things just weren't right. It wasn't right that children were risking their lives to get to school because of the lack of school zone signage, painted lines, and speeding on so many of the surrounding streets. It wasn't right that residents in our new subdivision were promised a park, and 5 years later, there is still no playground in sight. It wasn't right that the beach was no longer accessible due to overcrowding on weekends, and it especially wasn't right when I asked the town for the total revenue generated from parking at Innisfil Beach. I was told that this information wasn't available to the public, that I would need to pay a $5 FOI fee, and as well as $15 an hour per research. Why isn't this information transparent? Why don't residents have access to the town's financials? After all, isn't it our tax dollars? We are tired of the runarounds, and we are tired of being told that nothing can be done. I am tired of hearing that third-party consultants were hired to complete studies that are highly educated and, may I add, highly paid staff are perfectly capable of doing themselves. Ladies and gentlemen, this October, you will have the opportunity to vote for your ward councillor. Vote for someone that will advocate for better traffic safety and youth facilities, an improved plan for our beaches, parks, green spaces. Vote for somebody that will increase community outreach and engagement by including residents in the decision-making process. A person that will be transparent, accountable, reliable, and accessible full-time, both in person and online. Let's come together and build the future that we want for our Innisfil. I am ready and I'm willing to serve my community as your Ward 3 Councillor this October. Please vote for Tara because your voice matters.
Thank you. We'll now hear from Donna Orsatti.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Donna Orsatti, and I have made a promise to knock on every door in Ward 3 because I feel that I owe it to you, the residents, to meet you in person, to listen to your concerns, your ideas, and your priorities for the next term of council. Over the past 29 days of knocking on your doors, I have spoken to residents who represent the population, regardless whether you are renting, seasonal, or permanent resident. We all have many of the same concerns and want to enjoy a quiet, safe, rural town, preserving our natural surrounding and an opportunity for each of us to enjoy the lake. Growth has pushed the use of Innisfil Beach Park to something that residents feel they can no longer access or enjoy. We have made changes based on your feedback, but they no longer meet the needs of our residents. This has to change. And with your input, we can make adjustments to meet the needs of residents first. We have discussed many ideas as I have been at your door as your representative on council. The ideas for use and change should come from you, the residents using this community. Let's discuss each of these areas and review all options to make the necessary changes to meet our needs first in a growing community. From snow removal, property standards, bylaw, traffic and safety, to our parks and roads, these are all issues that matter to each of you, regardless where you live in Ward 3. I will continue to address your concerns on behalf of, beginning with traffic and safety. I have listened to your requests, worked hard to address and accomplish your goals for Ward 3, installation of safety and no parking and stopping signs in our ward, stopping illegal clear cutting and dumping in our parks, to local road improvements. I will continue to work with staff on your behalf. I am available on a full-time basis to listen to you and support you when you have a concern, whether that is by phone, internet, or in person. Your vote is important. Let my knowledge, my experience, and my dedication work for you. I am asking you to re-elect Donna Orsatti as your choice for Councillor for Ward 3. Thank you.
Thank you. We're moving forward to Ward 4 candidates with a reminder that 2 of the 5 candidates sent regrets. And again, that is Matthew Kenny and Ina Shafir. We will start with Bill McConnell.
Good evening and thanks for coming. My name is Bill McConnell. I'm running for Ward 4 Town Council. Why am I running for council? Innisfil Beach Park has been lost. We've lost the park on the weekends. It's time to take it back. I've watched rec centers be built. Was anything thought given to seniors or anybody? Why does a senior especially not have an area built? They may have things now, but when the building was built, there was no thought to having a seniors section where they can go and enjoy time and be part of the community and discuss things with each other. We have a walking track that's built over a cold hockey rink. Again, nothing, there's no thought process. Policing. I hear all kinds of things. Once in a while it comes up. OPP, let's bring OPP in Innisfil. I'm here to tell you. Personally, friends of mine have left other big police services, come to small towns such as Innisfil, alike. OPP has come in with promises of saving money and better coverage. These officers tell me the opposite. It costs more money and they had less coverage. I've watched the environment. I've watched that go down. Infrastructure. Why does Bradford have deals with the developers to get their infrastructure done at the 400 corridor? And we don't. Who's speaking for Innisfil? While they're building, we're talking. I'm not even sure we're talking. Jobs. With no infrastructure, the jobs aren't coming. You imagine being able to spend your time with your family instead of commuting down the 400 highway like I did for 22 years I've lived here. Wouldn't that be something? Taxes. We've watched taxes go up. We watched our hydro rates go up. Barrie and Bradford partnered with Power Stream and saved the taxpayers of Bradford and Barrie millions of dollars a year. Yet for some reason we refuse to make these deals and ours go up and up and up. This is why I'm running for council. I want to make change to what I just discussed. Now, why should you vote for Bill McConnell, Ward 4? Duty, leadership, honor, commitment, strength, unity, respect. Things that you need, ladies and gentlemen, when you walk through the door to be a councillor. Everything else comes second. I'll be a rookie councillor walking through that door, but I'll tell you this, I'll bring you the aforementioned things through that door and do my best for you, the residents of Innisfil. Because if you don't bring these things right here through the door, you might as well forget it. I will never be a great councillor. I won't even be a good councillor. I believe I possess these things. For 30 years, I served the citizens of the City of Toronto. I want to continue to serve the citizens of Innisfil. I'm 51 years old. I've been married for 25 years. I have 2 children who basically grew up here, came here when they were very young. Still live here.
Thank you. We're moving on to Christian Pitcher.
Hello, my name is Christian Pitcher. I grew up in Alcona. Spent a good 25 years there, and when my daughter was born, I returned with my family to raise her, and it's a privilege to watch her go to Goodfellow, the same school I went to. While away, I was working at Queen's Park. I worked there for 15 years, so I bring experience to the table. I understand how the process is supposed to work, and I can see how the process right now in Innisfil is broken. These are things that needed to be addressed 10, 20, 30 years ago. And yet every election we go through, it's all the demands of change, but change never truly happens. Three of the things that I'm running on, I ran on last election where I got 40% of the vote. Children's safety. It still needs to be addressed poorly. We have a street, Willard, where the sidewalk is about 15 inches, 20 inches wide. It's a sand sidewalk, and this is the road that we expect children to walk to Holy Cross to. It's a dangerous street. It connects Tim Hortons to a public school, and it's still a narrow sidewalk. Actually, even last summer, they put speed limiting signs on the sidewalk. So now the cars were driving slower, but the children actually had to walk out onto the road, into traffic, to go around these signs. This is not children's safety. We also need to address Innisfil Beach Park. It's a wonderful tourist attraction that's simply just being mismanaged. We need to be charging a higher rate at the gate to bring in a better tourist. We also, I'd like to see a skating rink put in there with basketball courts with parking. Right now we have basketball courts that doesn't have parking. You have to park on the 25th side road. How are your children safe? These are things, if we were to take the second baseball diamond and turn that into a 4-season attraction, we'd increase parking, and it would actually be revenue neutral. This is not going to cost you anything, because we're going to add in parking spots where we can recapture that during tourist season. And finally, we need to take a good look at the town and town staff and how they operate. We need transparency there. If you go to the City of Toronto and pull up a councillor's name, you can see their voting record. Right now, there is no voting record. You have to go through minutes and look for it and search for it and then find out what the vote was on. There's no transparency there. This has been established. And in the day and age of the internet, you should be able to know what your councillor stands for. It should be at your fingertips, and it simply isn't. There's Rob Boyton spoke when he mentioned.
Thank you. We'll hear next from Alex Waters.
First of all, I'd like to say thank you for everyone coming out tonight. It shows a strong force for democracy at local politics in Innisfil, so thank you very much for coming out tonight. My name is Alex Waters. I'm running for Ward 4 Councillor. I'm a 30-year resident of Innisfil. I moved up here because I couldn't afford a house in Toronto. I wanted something that was affordable. I wanted something that had a small community feel to it. So when I moved up here, it was simple cottage country with a lot of farms in the area. Has it changed? Some has been for the good for Innisfil, and some has not. And after working for 30 years, driving back and forth along Highway 400 to the Vaughan area, I worked at the Courtright Centre for Conservation, where I was a manager with Canada's largest environmental education centre. I retired 4 years ago because there were a lot of young people coming up behind me and realized that they were going to probably do a better job than I did because I was getting old. And it was about time I retired, so I did. When I retired, there was 3 things I could have done. I could build a house, I could go for councillor, or I could write children's books because I came from an education background. I chose to build a brand new house. So in Innisfil, my wife and I and my kids built Innisfil's most energy efficient house. Our house is so energy efficient, it doesn't have a furnace. And I get all the electricity from the sun. So I come from a strong, sustainable building background. My experience at Courtright, was where I developed a lot of programs for kids and public around sustainable technologies, solar energy, wind energy, sustainable development. We helped Vaughan create the largest Energy Star development just outside the Courtright Centre. So I have a lot of experience that way. Also, Courtright's owned by the Toronto Region Conservation Authority, where flood management is key. You can find all these issues currently are issues in Innisfil. And so I'd like to take that experience from 30 years of working and apply it to being your counselor in Innisfil. But first of all, good counselors have to listen. They don't always talk. They have to listen to what's going on. So for the past several weeks, I've been out talking to people, figuring what the issues are. Policing, the park, safety are all issues. However, I have a key platform that I'd like to share with you because I think it's visionary. It's about creating a green belt from the 20th Side Road to the 25th. Ward 4 is lucky that only half of it has been developed. There's a huge green space that I'd like to preserve before the developers get their claws into it. I want to be able to create a sidewalk, cycling path from the 20th down to the 25th. That solves a whole variety of issues around safety for children, where families can go, where you can walk. So green space, safety, a natural corridor for everyone, and also it stops flooding in the lower part of those creeks toward closer to the lake. So it solves a whole variety of issues. One of my other key issues is around a sustainable downtown core where it's livable and walkable, not Mapleview or Bayfield. Thank you very much.
Thank you to all our candidates from wards 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to invite you to exit the stage this way in front of me and back to your seats. If you don't know what ward you are in, there are ward maps available at the back. If you are not sure how to vote, or even if you're on the list, there is voting material supplied by the town of Innisfil, with thanks to Patty Toma, the deputy clerk. Are you on the list? Voterlookup.ca is where you go. And you know, I hope you know, you can vote by telephone or by internet between October 12th to 22nd. For more information, please pick up one of these cards or pamphlets and find out if you are on the list and how to vote. Our next group of candidates is from Ward 5, 6, and 7, and there are 6 of them, and I'd like to invite them to come up to the stage, please. And absolutely, clap. We're going to start with our Ward 5 candidates, the first of which is Kenneth Fowler.
Good evening, my fellow Innisfilians. Before we begin, I wanted to thank everyone here who has made the time to show us that our efforts to listen and walk this path with you has been worth the insoles and energy involved. I have been asked more than once as I knock on your doors and sit with you at your homes, why? Why do you wish to run for office? You do not own more than the land your home sits on. You have no business you manage. Is the effort worth the part-time wages to be earned? I have replied, Innisfil is not just my town, but all of ours. I have lived within these borders for half my life and can no longer stand to see the rampant development, including the wetlands, continue. I have no ties to any developers, familial or monetary, so as I see it, we need as a town to remind them that it is they who are encroaching on our land. Innisfil has many issues which affects almost every home. Water treatment. With the current state of growth, our water treatment facilities will reach capacity in 2023. By slowing down residential development, we may buy the time to address properly the $87 million upgrade required. Working with the county in that time will expose us to the newer and more efficient methods they have access to. School safety. With growth comes children. So alternative measures are in works to protect them. One example among many, as the chair of the Goodfellow Public School Council, I have worked with the town and put in motion a design for a nature path between Jack Street and Goodfellow parking lot. This not only keeps families from walking along the 25th Side Road, it also covers the issues that have arisen on Wallace Avenue where people cross the 9th line. The beaches. Even though the summer season has passed, we must now work to prepare for the one to come. Using Innisfil Beach Park as a template, we can address issues in all our beaches. A gateway where non-residents are required to pay by the head versus the car will substantially increase revenue, which then can be funneled back into bylaw enforcement. Using summer students for the off hours who have the ability to be in contact with the local police force shows a stronger unified front to those who have no respects for the lands they come to. Our youth. Many of the people who are young find themselves at a loss for after-school recreational activities. We need to work in deeper connection with the Youth Connects Committee to make them aware that they have a voice and the power to change their own futures. By giving our children a chance to grow and the information to succeed, we can open doors and walk through with them. At this stage of my journey, I would like to thank everyone who has supported me thus far. I have seen fire emerge from the quietest of people and shaken hands with those who have challenged me outright, forcing me to think outside the box. I have been told that I have inspired those who have lost faith in the system, but it is I who have found the strength to continue from their warm reception and reassuring words. It shows that a man who has funded his own campaign and worked hard to meet every face he could in Ward 5 can make a difference. That if you take the time to do things right, people will not only listen, but teach you as well. So for that, I thank you. Again, I am Kenneth Fowler, and I wish to represent you in Ward 5.
Thank you. Next candidate is Jeffrey Rice.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and Innisfil residents. My name is Jeff Rice, and I'm running for Ward 5. Innisfil is a fantastic, thriving town, and I'm privileged to be part of it. My family cottaged here for 60 years on beautiful Lake Simcoe. My dad, who has now passed away, started and built Sandy Cove Acres in 1969. He was a visionary who sought to give seniors their independence in a community with affordable amenities. It's important for me to carry on his legacy to keep Innisfil clean and safe and in harmony with the great landscape and the jewel of Lake Simcoe. I've actually talked with Claire Malcolmson, who has volunteered and directed her passion for Clean Lake Simcoe under her group, Rescue Lake Simcoe Coalition. This is a great environmental group that can be part of the process to check not only our growth, but with great guidelines. Don't we all want a great, clean Lake Simcoe? What a great idea to preserve for future generations. This is the type of person that reflects a lot of what Innisfil is made up of, who knows our town is growing, but knows greater guidelines are also needed. I mention this as a challenge today for our future to properly grow Innisfil so that it enriches the town, but still provides the rights of your neighbors. Just next to Ward 5, Innisfil Park is an example of putting Innisfil first. Let's charge non-residents coming from the GTA for the use of the park. Let's charge them for the boat ramps and put in place effective tag and tow policies that our roads, so that our roads are safe on those busy weekends. Enforcement is the key. Then Innisfil residents will be proud to use the park, including the beaches at the bottom of the 9th and 10th and 12th lines, with their families. Within the park, a new council could look at a dog walking area and, as mentioned, a hockey rink, outdoor, and other facilities. I have learned a lot from canvassing I have done. You want your amenities safe and accessible, and you want your roads safe and in good shape, and you want your town hall to be responsive. Canvassing informs me of the mundane but important day-to-day issues you have. The speeding along the 25th side road, down the 8th, 9th, 10th lines, leading to the lake, are a big concern to young families. I clearly remember canvassing and talking to a father who lives on the 10th line, and genuinely was concerned the safety of her walking his daughter down to the beach. There are water drainage issues, there's improper ditch work, unfinished tree cutting issues, and safety of our schoolyards, as mentioned. These are issues we need to address and address in a way that residents know that they are being heard. Let's remember, this is a great town and it's going to be greater. With respect to new developments, I hear residents again and again say, let's have these new proposals of developments online and easily accessible. It would be a key communicator to you, the concerned who might want to know what's going on next door. I would urge the council to make this a priority, especially when there's so much internet access and media available.
Thank you. I know, it's not a lot of time. We're moving forward to Ward 6 candidates, starting with Carolyn Payne.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you for being here tonight. I just want to give you a little bit of a heads up as to why I'm here and what I want to do. Before I started 4 years ago as a counselor for the town of Innisfil, I had 11 years' experience in the finance department of the Mississauga Library System in the role of accounting supervisor in charge of accounts payables and receivables for all 16 libraries, central departments within the city. A few years after I moved to Innisfil, I worked for Sandy Cove Acres Limited in the sales department for 8 years, being on the front lines in customer service, giving me the experience I needed to assist the residents in my ward. Since being on council, I am the current chair of the Innisfil Community Health Committee and a current member of your Innisfil Accessibility Advisory Committee. If re-elected, I will ensure that I will continue to give my constituents my full attention and time when you have concerns by immediately speaking with department staff to find ways to fix or rectify your problems at hand in a timely manner. I am compassionate and understanding when dealing with immediate concerns that are important to you, and I'm enthusiastic and always respond promptly to make your Innisfil a safe and better community. If I am re-elected, I will continue to be there for you, the residents in Ward 6, to listen, to work with you, and for you, and I will ensure that we as a council will respect your wishes whenever possible when planning for future population, infrastructure, and the overall spending of your well-earned dollars. I cannot and will not make any promises, but will assure you that I will do my best to keep your tax rates reasonable. I will work hard to ensure our roads in Ward 6 are safe for all modes of travel, and I will work with council and staff to ensure our road ends are made available to residents and usable beaches. As well, I would make it a priority to ensure council continue to work on the traffic plan for additional traffic to and from Friday Harbor and the Big Bay Point area that is a major concern for all residents. One of the main concerns that I found was Airbnb, and there's a lot of issues in Big Bay Point, and I would like to have that addressed with the town as well. By re-electing me, Carolyn Payne, as councillor for Ward 6, you will be allowing me to do good with all I have learned over the last 4 years at numerous workshops and conferences, giving me the information and training that I need to make well thought out and viable decisions on your behalf. I thank you for the opportunity of working with you and for you over the last 4 years, and I hope you will allow me to continue and finish the next 4 years. Thank you. Thank you.
Next up, Mark Sigwin.
Thank you. My name is Mark Sigwin. I'm running for Ward 6 Councillor. Experience, accountability, and transparency are the three foundations of my platform. Over the last 15 years, I've worked at the federal, provincial, and municipal levels of government. My experience includes a track record of running large-scale government projects, community consultations, and developing and following through on projects that benefit the community. Some examples of those are Parks and Recreation culture master plans, development charge studies. I've had the experience of sitting on many different resident community committees discussing healthcare, accessibility, and other items that affect the committee or the community directly, and putting action plans in place and bringing them forward to council, for execution and enactment in the community. Now I'm moving over to the other side of the table. I'm hoping to bring my skill set to the town of Innisfil Council to benefit this community. The foundations of my platform, obviously, if you had a chance to look at it, innovation would be one. I want to develop innovative partnerships and ideas that bring projects to the forefront and have a real benefit to the project budget. I've had a track record of success to find ways to alleviate budget pressures, bring in private funding to projects to take the burden off the taxpayers. Being a champion for increased access to healthcare is a major part of my platform. Very pleased to have been a part of advancements in this community to bring healthcare to the forefront. I'm currently working with a group of pharmacists and physicians right now to potentially look at a walk-in clinic and physician office for Friday Harbor. And I'm currently working with a pharmacy union to put a pharmacy on that property as well. Commitment to building a safe road network. One of the challenges I've seen right now in our ward and across the town is that the road network is crumbling. The 25th side road, when you look at accountability, the 25th side road was ripped up to put in the wastewater infrastructure and has never been attended to. It looks like a 20-year-old road at this point, and we need to make sure that attention is brought to that. Being accountable for tax dollars, what I've seen in the last 4-year term, we've seen many projects going over budget. We look at the Big Bay project, Fire Hall right now, it's gone from a $3.6 million project to a $7.6 million project, and a healthcare hub that has gone from $17 million to $20 million, and now in the last week has added another $1 million to the budget. Controlled budget is a priority of my platform, and I look forward to bringing a strong voice to council. I look forward to your support, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. We are moving on to the Ward 7 candidates, starting with Rob Nichols.
I'm Councillor Rob Nichols, running again in Ward 7 to continue to provide common sense decisions on your behalf. I was going to use all my time here tonight to highlight the achievements and challenges, but first, to be brutally honest, the next 4 years are going to be difficult. With at least 4 rookies sitting on council, the learning curve is going to be steep. In reading other platforms, I see some who are taking credit for my hard work and broad statements that aren't providing the entire truth nor facts. We all want any tax increase to be small, but if someone claims that they will freeze taxes, ask what services are being cut. The county, police, and school board control about 70% of your tax dollar. So how else will this be absorbed? Policing. Save $1 million with OPP? Maybe. But nobody's talking about the true costs of severances, debt from 2 stations, or equipment contracts. The OPP might rehire these officers, but since they are the highest paid force, we will pay more in provincial taxes. In power. Sell to Electra, EPCOR? When you dig into it, we could have got about $13 million, but most of that was owed back to the building. And we could have saved a few dollars per month. But why would we not service the annex lands and reap huge benefits from them forever, or then sell it for maybe $200 million or more? On to my speech. Innisfil has changed, and in 4 short years, we have encouraged innovation and outside-the-box thinking. We have changed the entire culture and structure of your town. We are recognized internationally and have won multiple awards for problem-solving initiatives such as Uber and Idea Lab. Staff now strive to come up with more innovative ideas for you, the ultimate customer. Maybe not everyone has noble intentions, but I do. I am known to dig into the issues and to make informed decisions based on the facts. I have the personality to rally fellow council members who might struggle to make tough decisions, and I speak the truth, and I always will. Some of the town-wide accomplishments that I'm proud of: it was my motion that paused the financially devastating $142 million surfacing plan for the Innisfil Heights and called for a viable business case. I led the charge not to partner with companies such as EPCOR, nor sell town assets when much greater returns will come in the future. It was also my motion that called for the Integrity Commissioner. In Ward 7, I fought for community safety and implemented the 40-kilometer zone in Cookstown, as well as flashing stoplights at Shore Acres and Guilford Road. I rallied council for an enhanced boat launch and functional parking lot at the end of '89. I pushed for the Guilford Road end beach restoration and closed that park to motorized vehicles. We have some very tough decisions coming up, including water, wastewater, and hydro needs that will need creative funding. The development community will have to fully fund their infrastructure, and we need to invest to realize the true financial benefits from the annex lands. With so many new councillors in 2019, we need strong and experienced individuals to help make these decisions. I truly am that person for you. I'm just getting started, so I ask that you continue to put your trust in me and my dedication to all of our interests, because to me it's about our common sense. Lastly, thank you to Deborah, the IDA, and Pastor Courtney, and all those volunteering for tonight, hosting this event. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. And on to Don Tata.
Good evening. My name is Don Tata, and I'm running for Council of Ward 7. As a resident of Innisfil for over 30 years, sorry about that, I have chosen to lay my roots in the hamlet of Guilford with my beautiful wife Stephanie, whom is an elementary school educator. Together, we raise our 2 young boys so they too can experience the same upbringing I did as a child. I want our sons to enjoy our lake, our public facilities, our green spaces, and also want them to be surrounded by community members who are hardworking, family-oriented people. I hold a BA in Business Administration with an emphasis on finance. and I also hold a certified financial planning designation. I'm a bank manager of 2 branches in the city of Barrie and a real estate entrepreneur with strong skills in client relations, risk management, employee relations, and balancing budgets, all while delivering my commitments to my clients and stakeholders on time. It is evident to me that in this fast-growing township, Ward 7 would benefit from my business acumen and client relation skills. My representation will mean financially prudent and informed decision-making. I commit to ensure our municipal tax dollars are to be used for programs, facilities, and infrastructure projects that are financially sensible, address priority needs, and account for future planning and implementation. My campaign slogan is, "I'm ready to listen and take action." This is because I feel all of us in Ward 7 deserve to be heard and valued. I want to be known as a councillor who respects the community, will listen to the community, and take the necessary actions for everyone of our community. If elected, I will commit to you that I will be available to you by cell phone, text messaging, email, and social media facets such as Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, so I can listen to what everyone's concerns, needs, and wants are. After listening, I'll take your voice to council and proactively keep you informed of my progress on the subject. If I cannot succeed in making a change, I will work with you to explore other options. I will further commit to you that I will use my sound financial knowledge to be an advocate for a reduction in electrical costs by properly leveraging InPower, its ownership to either reduce operating costs or by advocating a partnership with neighboring electrical companies. I will be an advocate to service wastewater utilities to the 400 industrial lands to attract local employment to our residents of Innisfil. And I'll be an advocate to bring the Southern RVH vision to a reality to offer Innisfil the healthcare it's needed. I feel I can truly make a difference with the level of financial knowledge on council to make efficient, social, environmental, and economical sound business decisions for the growth of Innisfil and sustainability. Thank you, and I hope I can earn your support.
Thank you. Thank you to all the candidates from Ward 5, 6, and 7. I invite you to leave the stage. Come this way, please. Third up on stage are our deputy mayoral candidates, with a reminder that Paul Best has sent his regrets. I invite them now to please take their seats on stage. We are going to start with the first deputy mayoral candidate, Daniel Davidson.
Good evening. As I look out into this room, I see people who deeply care about Innisfil. So first things first, I agree with you. We all must care. We are blessed with a town with so much to offer, and I'm going to say it up front. We are not doing the job we need to do. Many of you know me, and you know this as well. I get riled up and passionate. That's because I care. I care about you, about our town, and I care passionately about our future. What makes me angry is we are not managing our future well enough. And we can do better. No, that's not true. We must do better. I have had the honor of serving you as a councillor and as a deputy mayor. I learned a lot about building a sustainable municipality. Yes, I have been watching from the sidelines, but more than that, I have been listening to you. You are telling me what we need in Innisfil. That's because you know. At my business of over 30 years is often where I hear what you think. It's your thoughts and opinions that convince me to run for deputy mayor. In the last few years, I have worked to make Friday Harbor sustainable. As the project's community liaison officer and chair of the Architectural Advisory Committee, I worked to strengthen the community ties while delivering on environmental commitments, which is a passion of mine. Friday Harbor is now one of the most environmental sustainable resorts in the world. It is also Innisfil's largest employer. These are jobs that will remain in our community for decades to come. Now we have to manage Innisfil better, and that's what gets me riled up. Sometimes I'm shocked at what goes on at Town Hall. Sustainability must work at the town level as well. I have a simple approach to managing the future: needs, wants, and desires. This order is important as it all begins with what we need. We need to know what our needs are, fix those first, and move on. Take the 25th between Big Bay Point Road and Mapleview. It's in bad shape. The 20th desperately needs widening. And Innisfil Beach Road and the 5th Side Road, what's happening with upgrades there? An environmental assessment on widening Innisfil Beach Road was completed in 2015. That's right, 3 years ago. The 15-kilometer project is to cost $4 million, but work is to begin in 2019. Elect me and I'll make sure that these desperately needed projects don't get delayed anymore. These are the kinds of things that make me angry. Why? Because we need them. Simcoe County provides a lot of our services. We pay almost $20 million a year in taxes to the county. The deputy mayor sits on that county council. That's where I will work with your needs to improve garbage collection, major road maintenance, and land ambulance response. You need to know this. Being deputy mayor or a seat at county council is not a political springboard for me. I will be there to be your voice to get the answers you need about building a sustainable future for Innisfil. I will say what must be said and ask the tough questions at town and county councils. I will answer the questions you need answered. I can do this day one because I know both levels of government intimately. We must approach these complex issues carefully and systematically. Our reserves have been depleted. This means to me we are not planning our growth carefully enough. Importantly, we must balance our needs with ability to pay. We start with the needs, like reducing your tax burden, improving our roads, and then move to plan what's wants and desires, like a more integrated county-wide transit system. People don't just stop at our border. We must achieve regional solutions to strengthen our education and job opportunities. What we need is hard work, experience, and leadership. I have a proven track record of delivering all three. I'd like to thank Debbie and Pastor Courtney for all your contributions to Innisfil tonight, and I say to you, the right choice, Deputy Dan for Deputy Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Just a reminder about the timing, the deputy mayoral candidates have 5 minutes. Thank you, Dan. Next up, Stephen Fishman.
Thank you. Good evening. I would like to start off by thanking the Innisfil District Association, Innisfil Community Church for organizing and hosting tonight's event, and for Rogers TV for filming this evening's event. But most of all, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to attend the All Candidates meeting, and for those watching at home who cannot make it here tonight. So who is Stephen Fishman? I'm a father, husband, and most recently became a grandfather. I have a background in marketing and business administration, and for most of my career, I've worked in the entertainment industry, having ran some of Canada's leading entertainment venues. From 2003 to 2011, I worked for the City of Vaughan as a manager in the Recreation and Culture Department, running the City Playhouse Theatre. During my time with Vaughan, I got a first-hand look at how municipal government operates. As far as my political experience goes, I ran for public office twice before, in 2007 as the provincial candidate in the riding of Simcoe Grey, and in 2010 I was approached by a citizens group in Wasaga Beach to challenge the sitting mayor who was going to be acclaimed. I've sat on the executive of both the federal and provincial riding associations in Simcoe Grey, and most recently was the president of the Barrie Innisfil Riding Association, which I resigned from in January of this year. I would consider myself a centralist on the political spectrum, fiscally conservative and socially progressive. Our current council has done some great things like the Uber program, the new 44,000 square foot healthcare facility being built next to the YMCA off of Yonge Street, our mobile youth centers, and movies in the park, just to name a few. These are great things for our town, but we also have our share of things that are not so good. Innisfil pays the highest property taxes in Simcoe County and the highest hydro rates in Simcoe County. Developers are buying up our wetlands and wanting to build on these lands, destroying the natural beauty of Innisfil and our ecosystem. Our beach areas are a mess with out-of-control parking and garbage on long weekends. We have traffic safety issues surrounding our schools, flooding issues across Innisfil. Our roads are in need of $7 million in repairs, and we have no permanent youth centers or senior centers in our town. These are just a few of the issues facing, but please don't get me wrong. I'm all for development. But we need to slow down our development so our infrastructure can catch up and preserve the natural beauty of our town. If elected, I can assure you that I will not vote for any development that destroys our wetlands and ecosystem. If elected, I will ask for a complete operational and financial audit of the town be conducted. We need to find savings and streamline operations. I, for one, like to see the use of outside consultants become a thing of the past. Every dollar we can save can be passed on to you, the taxpayer. I will also seek a freeze on the Innisfil portion of the tax bill until such time as we can get our books in order. As taxpayers and residents in our town, you deserve a council that's accountable and transparent. If elected, I intend to hold 2 town hall meetings per year so I can communicate to you what's taking place in our town and what we have planned for the future. These meetings will be open, so you can ask the hard questions, and I hope to get other members of council to attend. I will seek to have the expenses of council and senior town staff posted each quarter on the town's website. As much as I can stand here for an hour going over what my ideas for the town are, my time is limited. So I encourage you to visit my website at www.votefishman.com to find out more about my plans. But before my time is up, I would like to acknowledge 2 young ladies for the work they did nearly 2 weeks ago. Tiffany and Sonia came across a young man who was sleeping in the vestibule of a local bank. He was homeless, his mother passed away back in July, and he had other issues. These 2 young ladies got him food, found him shelter, and asked the community for help. The overwhelming support from the community was outstanding. With the help of the community, Tiffany and Sonia were able to secure him a place to live, get him clothes, food, and the help he needs to recover and get back on his feet. So many residents in our town went above and beyond when it comes to helping those in need. And we as a community need to acknowledge not just Tiffany and Sonia, but everyone else who donates food, their time, and help whenever possible. In closing, if elected as your next deputy mayor, I will be your voice at town and county council. I will fight to lower your taxes, improve services, ensure the development is done in such a way that we don't destroy our natural beauty of our town, and we get our fair share from the county and the province. On October 22nd, I ask for your vote and support to be your next deputy mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Angela Gravel.
Good evening. Let me start by extending a special thank you to the volunteers of the Innisfil District Association and also to the Community Church for coordinating this event. My name is Angela Gravel, and I want to be your next deputy mayor. The Municipal Act clearly states that the role of council is to ensure that policies, practices, and procedures, along with the controllership, are in place to ensure the accountability and transparency of the operations of the municipality, including the activities of the senior management of the municipality in place. Let me assure you tonight, I have over 25 years of senior municipal leadership experience. And for the past 10 years, I've been an entrepreneur. I know what it's like to be a small business owner. I have also volunteered with a number of community nonprofit organizations. I was chairman of the board of directors for an organization that provided shelter services for abused women and children. In addition to that, I was also part of an organization, also nonprofit, that focused on young people and helping them to develop employment skills in the construction and trades industry. So why am I running for deputy mayor? I'm running for deputy mayor because I know that I can make a real difference for our community. I'm not here this evening to advocate that returning to the past is the best that we can do for our municipality, because I know that we can do better. We can always do better. I'm also not going to sit here and tell you tonight that I want to put a hold on taxes, because I just don't think that's very realistic for Innisfil. What I do want to do is to ensure that our tax dollars are being spent wisely. And if elected as your new deputy mayor, I'm going to be seeking support from my council colleagues to undergo a full service delivery review process so that we can look at eliminating the duplication, we can look at eliminating silos and unnecessary bureaucracy, rather than simply holding the line on taxes. It would just be the status quo. This process may also allow us the opportunity to streamline and find capacity to deliver the services that you want and need, and perhaps even at a lower cost. I also believe that we have been stonewalled on the issue of servicing Innisfil Heights. And if elected, I will be championing a fresh look at this issue to find a solution that is both affordable and sustainable for our community. If we can find a way to service Innisfil Heights, think of the expanded industrial and commercial tax base for our community and the reduction and the tax burden on our residents. Think of the thousands of jobs that could be created and how we can enhance the lives of many of the residents in our community. If elected, I will also be advocating for improved consultation before the town pushes forward with any rash decisions. I will also advocate for investing in infrastructure that connects our neighborhoods and ensures the greater safety measures are in place. We need to be proactive in having new developments connected into existing neighborhoods. Smarter developments should and must be a priority here in Innisfil. And in closing, to my fellow candidates seeking public office, thank you for having the courage to put yourself forward. It's a big deal, believe me. And finally, to the outgoing council, thank you for your service to our community. But now it's time to learn from the past and work toward a brighter future. I know that there's a great deal of community passion. You can see it, you can feel it. I spoke to lots of people this afternoon and it was great. And there's a lot of terrific ideas. The key for us now is to be able to harness that energy, harness the energy of our community and move Innisfil forward. And that is together. So please vote for me as your next deputy mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we'll hear from Henry Koistra.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Henry Koistra, a local resident, businessman, father, and grandfather. My motivation to run for deputy mayor is simple: to make a difference in the quality of the lives for the people of Innisfil by delivering steady, sensible leadership. For those of you who don't know me, I grew up in the Hull Marsh and spent my childhood summers at my grandparents' farm in Innisfil. With my wife, Loretta, we have raised our 2 children on the 12th line of Bradford and have since made our home in Alcona. I've always been a self-employed guy, whether as a farmer, as a fruit and vegetable wholesaler, or in my current job as a real estate sales representative. I was raised to give back to the community and currently volunteer as a board member for the Nanthara Park Association and my local church. I've also regularly attended our town council meetings for the past 3 years as a concerned citizen, and as deputy mayor, I hope to inject some fresh, sensible solutions and innovative thinking into managing the growth of our town. Council needs to move forward with lessons learned about conflicting personal agendas. I am someone who is open-minded, fair, and will always put our residents first and foremost when making decisions as deputy mayor. I will bring my business experience, interpersonal skills, and integrity to the table. I come with no biases. My campaign is self-funded, and I have no relationships that may influence my decisions as your representative on council. I will help to rebuild lost public trust by working with my council colleagues in a transparent, thoughtful, and collaborative approach to solving the issues we face ahead. And let's not forget about seeking input from ratepayers on important issues. My campaign is about delivering value for money and keeping taxes as low as possible, but not at the expense of the service levels we currently enjoy or continued investment in amenities our residents deserve. It's about operating efficiently and rooting out wasteful spending. As deputy mayor, I intend to strongly advocate for regional traffic issues such as the proposed GO station, the Highway 400-404 link, and the feasibility of a Cookstown Ring Road. Many of you here tonight will agree that the disrepair of our existing roads is unacceptable. I will strongly support increased investment into much-needed repairs. Everyone knows that Innisfil Beach Park is our jewel. That is impossible for our local residents to enjoy on summer weekends. My focus as deputy mayor will be on solutions that ensure access to our beach is prioritized for residents and reverses the negative impacts to adjacent neighborhoods. We need to protect our environment and ensure that council stands up to developers who want to cut corners on tree planting, park development, land and water conservation measures to better manage the impacts of growth. We need to be smart and stand strong against pressure by those whose interests are only about the bottom line. I strongly support investment in the 400 employment lands, but not without a business plan that will ensure this doesn't happen at the expense of existing ratepayers who are already struggling to make ends meet. I will use my business experience, integrity, and common sense to better serve you as your next deputy mayor by keeping an eye on our bottom line spending so it's within our means both at the town and county levels. I am truly committed to this community and ready to lead in a responsible, collaborative, and thoughtful way. To conclude, I'm not one to believe in election promises, but one election promise I can make and keep is to look after your tax dollars like a true Dutchman. I hope I can earn your support. Thank you.
Last up on stage to remain here until the end of the debate, I invite our 3 mayoral candidates. Quick reminder about the timing. Mayors always need more time, and tonight, each of them are receiving 10 minutes of time. Our timing lights are as follows: green on 8, Madam Timer, yellow on 9, and red on 10. And because we're thinking outside the box tonight, we are going to throw in some questions. Now, I'm not completely mean. They've had them for a week, and we are going to ask those when they are ready to answer them. We're going to start with the first mayoral candidate, Barb Bagley.
Thank you, Deborah. Good evening, everyone. I'm very happy to have the opportunity to speak to you tonight and share my experiences and vision for Innisfil. I'm running for mayor of Innisfil, and I'm asking for your support. I heard a lot of people up here tonight talking about how long they'd lived here and who they raised and so on. I just wanted to let you know my husband and I have lived here for 40 years, and we both thank you for coming to the party tonight because today we are celebrating 45 years of marriage. And somebody ought to give my husband a medal. Elections are a time to evaluate the past and think about the direction we want to take for the next 4 years. You have 3 candidates to choose from. We all have experience, we all have passion for our community, and we all have a desire to lead council. What makes me stand out as your best choice is my experience and connection in the community, my volunteer work, and my involvement in local organizations, groups, and with individuals. I'm a very proud volunteer and a member of the Innisfil Rotary Club, Crime Stoppers, the Innisfil Historical Society, and the Arts, Culture, and Heritage Council. It's great to see the Rotary Trail being used by families, and I've learned so much working with Crime Stoppers. We continue to do community education to help make our community safer. In the past 4 years since leaving the mayor's office, I have stayed connected with many of you through my volunteer work and my Facebook page, The Other Side of the Desk. I am proud to say that I have been able to assist many residents with their issues over the years, either by providing solutions or pointing them in the right direction. My commitment has always been to local community, and I will always be committed to you. I will be a mayor who focuses on your issues, Innisfil issues, not my provincial appointments. I am concerned about my opponent's willingness to add a 1% tax to the HST, a tax we'd all have to pay on every single purchase. My political experience includes terms as mayor, deputy mayor, and ward councillor. As your mayor, I will work hard to stay in touch and create easy and new ways to stay in touch, and you have your say. I want to hear your ideas and concerns, and I'll encourage council to make decisions that always have your interest at heart. I understand that the money we are spending is your money, and I commit to you that I will make thoughtful, reasonable, and respectful decisions when it comes to spending your tax dollars. I want to bring back a little bit of openness to Town Hall. I want to have coffee with the mayor at Town Hall, as we did before, to discuss and meet on a casual, friendly environment. I will work to change the current procedures to allow you to speak to council on issues that are important to you at the beginning of every council meeting, even issues not on that night's agenda. If it's important to you, council should take the time to listen. All motions should be read out loud, and speakers should be placed so everyone attending our council meetings can hear what's being said and understand everything that's being voted on. It's about accessibility and transparency. I also understand that you are busy, and it may be difficult for you to take time to attend a council meeting or meet with me in person. You can stay connected through email, phone, social media, including the Mayor Barb website, and I will keep you informed on issues coming up on an electronic newsletter. Let's get back to the basics. I believe it's time to focus on the reason municipal government exists, to provide core services and to respect residents from all neighborhoods. The one issue I've heard about, not only here tonight, but at door knocking, whether it be in the proximity of Innisfil Beach Park or on the other side of town, it's Innisfil Beach Park. I believe there are solutions that will come from the community and a council that listens to you. I understood just today that there was a meeting of a group of citizens who came to Town Hall but saw nothing change. When re-elected, one of my first priorities will be to create a community committee that includes residents to find solutions. These solutions should be implemented in time for next summer so we can all enjoy the park again. Innisfil's health hub that's being built now, I know there's a lot of credit being taken for it, but I'm proud to say that we had the first health committee formed when I was mayor, and in fact that was the seed planted for the health hub, and I'm really pleased it's progressing at the way it is. And Madam Chair, I actually am finished, although everybody thought I would fill the entire 10 minutes. I just simply can't. I would like to thank you and leave the time for questions at the end.
Thank you. I may ask those, thank you. Madam Timer, how much time remains, please, for? We have 5 minutes. If you'd like to go ahead and answer these 3 questions now and fit them into the 5 minutes. And these 3 questions have been asked of the mayoral candidates and will be asked of all 3 of them. The first question, considering recent events, if elected, how would you lead with integrity?
Thank you. Implementing the Code of Conduct for Council was one of my proudest accomplishments as mayor. It's important to me, and like many residents, I was extremely disappointed to see the recent events unfold and hear the findings of the Integrity Commissioner. I am pleased that she dealt with the issue and upheld the importance of a strong code of conduct that applies to all members of council. My former career in banking taught me you can never take gifts from any clients. I have never accepted gifts or campaign contributions from developers. The events that we have watched unfold over this past summer only reinforce my commitment. I think it is important that the new council revisit the Code of Conduct immediately upon taking office and take the advice and add a lobbyist registry to the file at Town Hall.
Thank you. Second question, if elected, how would you balance growth and development while ensuring minimal environmental impact to our water, land, and air?
Thank you. We have to require environmentally friendly standards as a requirement, not a request. In our plans of subdivision, more green space using low-impact development that ensures effective drainage, things like low-flow toilets and high-efficiency appliances in new subdivisions, features like eco-gardens in new developments where they're possible and practical. If we can, we should limit the number of permits annually so that new development has less impact on the neighbors. That would mean no more 500 house developments being built all at once. We should be proud of growth as it is beneficial to the municipality and has minimal impact on our environment. We should not be proud of enticing massive developments that have monumental impacts on the people already living here. I also think we need to have a tree preservation bylaw and a tree inventory so we know which trees have to be preserved.
Thank you. Final question. If elected, what is your vision for creating local jobs and attracting new industry?
That's a tough one because it's really hard for a council to create jobs. However, I think we can make an environment where it's easier. I think it's imperative that we find a way to bring water and sewer service to Highway 400 land. Council has been talking about this and failing for way too many years. We should be thinking outside the box and perhaps even outside the municipality to find a solution that will open the area to new business, jobs, and opportunities for Innisfil and all of Simcoe County. Can we convince the County of Simcoe to help us with the answers to this issue? Because we know that economic development that we create here in Innisfil will be a boon to the entire region. Let's also remember we have a new provincial government and we should approach that level to look for potential funding, partnerships, and alliances to bring jobs here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our second mayoral candidate is Stan Dorio.
Thank you, Beverly. I'm Stan Dorio, Innisfil councillor and candidate for mayor. In my first term on Markham Council, I rescued Markham from the brink of receivership, freezing taxes for 15 consecutive years until we were debt-free. It helped that I was Bell Canada's Ontario budget manager. I served many years as Markham's finance chair and budget chair. I know budgets and finance. If we partner our in-power utility with Electra, your annual hydro bill will be an average of $200 less. In negotiations, we will make a case for high valuation based on current Innisfil growth and from servicing new development in South Barrie. We will receive $5 million to $7 million in interest and dividends that would freeze your taxes. In addition, we have the advantage of assessment growth. Our budget will address needs rather than wishes, a target set by council, not staff. Our 2% growth will bring about an annual surplus that will help keep tax increases at bay and help grow our reserves as well. Let me give you an example of how growth helps our cash flow. The roads, sidewalks, and curbs in a new subdivision will last 25 years with little physical maintenance. When we plow snow from 1 kilometer of these roadways, 45 households will cover the cost compared to 20 in older areas. Cost per household declines. On infrastructure, since the beginning of this term, I've heard from residents of my ward that their street didn't need to be paved. Some roads are paved and then flooded by a winter rain. By making our infrastructure program smarter and heeding resident input, we can make our infrastructure dollars go a long way. I have a plan to take back control of Innisfil Beach Park and road and beaches. It is still to be vetted and refined by residents. It addresses overcrowding, bus loads of visitors, late night racing, illegal parking around the park and in merchant parking lots, a lack of associated tourism business for local merchants, beach litter, and many others. I will form a Take Back the Park Committee to manage the project from public discussion and refinement to completion. And think about maintenance around town. Are you proud of what you see along Innisfil Beach Road and others? Weeds on developer and town property, illegal signs, weeds, reeds, and ditches in our, trees in our ditches, overflowing waste barrels, faded road striping, dirty bicycle lanes. I think this model is not what we want for business in residential areas. I think we need to do something about that. I work for you. You're the only boss that I have. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll go forward with these questions, Dan. Our first question, again, considering recent events, if elected, how would you lead with integrity?
Well, I know that our code of conduct needs review, and that will take place. I'm sure everyone wants that to happen. Apart from that, I can't say I'm going to be, practice integrity because that's self-serving. So I don't know what else I can say about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Our second question, if elected, how would you balance growth and development while ensuring minimal environmental impact to our water, land, and air?
Well, one of the things I think we need, and it's become clear to me, is a tree cutting bylaw for development areas. One of the programs that the IDA was working on, which I really liked, was the hope that we could somehow have a number of individual woodlots considered as a forest if we bring all of them together and include the wildlife corridors. I think that's a plan worth pursuing, and I would very much support the activities of the IDA.
Thank you. Final question. If elected, what is your vision for creating local jobs and attracting new industry?
Well, the 400 highway is a very difficult thing to handle because, as I understand it right now, we are most attractive to giant mechanized warehouses that will have 7 employees per 5 acres, and I'm not interested in that. So we need some financial vision. And yes, that is ultimately where we need our future jobs. But right now, developers are creating lots of jobs in the next year or two, not as high paying as we'd like, but lots of jobs, perhaps as many as 1,200.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Stan. Our third mayoral candidate, Lynn Dolan.
Thank you and good evening, everyone. I want to start by thanking the Innisfil District Association and the Innisfil Community Church for allowing all of us this opportunity. I also want to thank all of the candidates that were here tonight. I don't know if you know how hard it is to sit here. It is nerve-wracking, and it takes a lot of courage to put your name out there. And I can tell the passion with that group. So I want to thank all of the candidates. And finally, thank you for hanging in here with us on a Saturday night. Thank you for doing that, because it shows to me there's so much engagement right now with the municipal level of government. If we had this type of engagement all the time, we would be so much better off. But thank you so much for being here. I'm going to just talk just a little bit about a couple of things. So I really do want to leave more time for questions. I've learned a couple of things knocking on the doors over the last few weeks. The first one is that we need to improve our communications. And when I say communications, I don't mean us talking at you. It's a two-way street. We need to have a good conversation because I don't have all the answers. We together have all the answers. And when we find systemic issues, if we work together on them and look at everyone's perspective, we're going to do a much better job fixing the problems. Also, I noticed that there's things that we have in town that other people don't have. At one of my open houses, I had a sheet that said, what would you like to see in Innisfil? And somebody wrote community gardens. And we have community gardens, but we don't have, I guess, everything in every one of our settlement areas. So some people, I think we need to bring ourselves together and learn that if there's not a skate park in Alcona, there's one in Stroud and there's one in Lefroy. So we need to have that kind of communication. The other thing I've learned is that people are quite proud of the things that we've accomplished over the last 4 years as far as winning just about every award there is to win for innovation. I'm very proud that one of our staff was named top 10 innovator in Canada. There were only 2 in all of Ontario, Hamilton ourselves. Our libraries also won awards. But I want to say that while we're doing those big picture things, you know, finally getting the GO train station going, rebuilding and reconstructing Lockhart, rebuilding and reconstructing and widening Innisfil Beach Road, the Innisfil Health Hub, all those big picture things, what we aren't doing right is the little things. The line striping on the roads, the ditching, the parts, the operational issues that aren't that expensive to do. It's just that we need to make sure that we pay attention to those little items, because we can do all the big picture thinking in the world that we like, but if we can't empty a garbage can or change a street light without calling 6 times, then we're going to erode everybody's confidence in us. So it's the cheapest things to do, it's the littlest things to do, but I think we have to nail that, and we have to build up people's confidence. Finally, I'm just going to mention a couple of things that I've learned over the past few years that I think can be assistance to everyone if I am successful in becoming your mayor. First of all, you learn very quickly when you sit in a council seat that we are a creature of the province. We hate to admit it, but we are a creature of the province. They are our parent. We do as we're told. There's 280 pieces of legislature that we must comply to, and we must report on. So I got involved a few years ago with an association that advocates for all of Ontario's municipalities, and for a 2-year term, which ended in August, I served as their president. It was a great honor to be elected president by your peers from all municipalities, 444 across Ontario. But why does that matter to you? It matters to you because for the next 2 years, if elected, I have a seat at the Queen's Park once a month to meet with ministers and give them, pre-consult with them on anything that could impact a municipality. Many of the things that they do impact us. Sometimes it's unintentional consequences. Sometimes it wouldn't even cost them money, but they can do things to save us money. So I think it's really important to have that voice at the table and to be able to reach out to any of my colleagues around Ontario. If we've got an issue here in Innisfil, there is a chance that someone's already gone through this. So we can talk to them, talk to people. I know that Georgina right across the lake and Mayor Quirk's going through similar issues with their park. So we can work together to get collective solutions. So I said I wasn't going to talk very long, but I think I did, Deborah, but I'm ready to answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
Thank you. Five minutes. That should do it. Considering recent events, if elected, how would you lead with integrity?
Thank you. So I believe that having a code of conduct and an integrity commissioner is vital for municipalities. And I would note that through Mayor Bagley's leadership, we did it years and years and years before it became something that everyone has to do. In fact, it's not until March of next year that every municipality is required to have an integrity commissioner. So we have that in place. We did get recommendations from the integrity commissioner that we need to strengthen our code of conduct, and I would be in support of doing that. I think it's a good time, it's a fresh start, it's a new council. We're going to have lots of new faces at the table, and I think that that's a really good time to do lots of orientation and just set the standard for the next 4 years.
Thank you. Second question, if elected, how would you balance growth and development while ensuring minimal environmental impact to our water, land, and air?
Development in Innisfil has been set by the province to the tune of 56,000 population by 2031, and that's in the Provincial Growth Act. So I don't think that where we run into most trouble with development, where people seem most upset, is when it's infill development. I would like to see better policies for transition between high and low impact development. As far as the environment concerns, I think that the Lake Simcoe Protection Plan has done a very good job of making sure we have less impact on our shoreline and all of the watershed and our sub-watersheds. I believe that one of the keys is getting people to want what environmentally sustainable houses. And I'll give you a very quick example. Low impact development. So we are building low impact development in Innisfil right now, and I'm getting calls from residents saying, it looks hideous, I don't like it, it looks weedy, I want a properly manicured grass, I don't want these rain gardens. So I think we have to work together, the town, and to make people understand that low impact development is a good thing and environmentally sustainable houses are a good thing, and that you don't need 9-10-foot ceilings and granite counters. You should care more about the energy efficiency of your home.
Thank you. Final question, if we can squeeze that in, Madam Timer. If elected, what is your vision for creating local jobs and attracting new industry?
So we, I think, we all believe that this challenge, if the challenge of the 400 is there, if it was easy to fix, we would have done it by now. But we are doing, and we do have great economic development staff, and I'm going to give you one quick example. We have a community improvement plan that was set out over 3 years that we used money from the Lottery and Gaming Corporation for. We recently were at a ribbon cutting for a business, a brand new manufacturing facility, 50,000 square foot facility that manufactures filters, an aftermarket filter. They employed 45 people in our community. When I asked them why they came to our community, they said, first of all, they said, Brennan Kenny, one of our staff, they developed a relationship, he called them right back. The other one was the location to the 400, and the other one was that we gave them a $100,000 abatement to their development charges. What that meant was we spent $100,000, but we got $500,000. So we got $500,000 development charges, 45 jobs. It's a win-win for everyone. And I'll tell you, they looked in Vaughan and Milton and Belleville and Midland and Alliston, and we were their pick. So it's one example, but I think we can build on that kind of success in our future, and thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to ask our mayoral candidates to remain on the stage. And remember me talking about the box. Remember me speaking about that creative piece. This is all Pastor Courtney's doing. Our wonderful volunteers, are there any more questions to go into the box? Because we're spinning the box. This is the fun part. Because clearly you're not tired of my voice yet. What we're doing, and with the help of our wonderful volunteer Brandy, we're reaching into the box, and this is a randomly chosen question. And if it was done correctly, I believe, here we go. All right. I'm going to invite Jeff Rice to come to the center of the floor, please. I believe we have a microphone right here for you, and if you want to come to the center of the floor, Jeff, we'll have you address from the floor. Thank you. This question is from Andrea. Will you be addressing the health of Lake Simcoe and the Coalition for the Protection of the Lake? I hope I got that question right.
Will I be addressing?
Will you be addressing the health of Lake Simcoe and the Coalition for the Protection of the Lake?
Yeah, as I mentioned in my talk tonight, I think it's a key component. I know talking with a couple of agencies and Clara the other day, the whole idea of phosphorus going into our lake, and I've been on this lake so many years, water skiing back when my hair was not going gray. That I think it's a very important part of we've talked about development, we've talked about saving trees, we've talked about different wooded areas, roads, whatever, but I think one of our greatest jewels is the lake, and I would definitely, I would make it part of any development planning, because I know at the edge, or the north edge of my ward, in Ward 5, there's development planned at the 25th line, 25th side road on the 12th line. And that would be a key factor, that the as it's told to me, that once you disturb the soil, it can really affect down, you know, if you have normal rainfall, and then the rain will run down the rivers and get into the lake. So I consider it a real, even though I've come from a building past, and maybe it's because I'm aging a little, but I think it's a very, very important thing to have, and as we've talked here, for the future of Innisfil.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rice. Thank you. Just a reminder that the timing goes on, but we have more of it. We have 45 minutes, and we have a box full of questions. I'm really excited about this. This is the fun part. This question is for Stan Dorio. I will abbreviate it. There is no name. You mentioned that growth helps our community to reduce costs per household. Since InPower is our community-owned utility and serves the South Barrie annexed lands, which is expected to serve over 20,000 new homes, shouldn't our hydro rates eventually come down over time and not increase? I believe that's the question. Why sell our asset now for potentially less? Any part of that you'd like me to repeat?
Well, that's good. So, yeah, when we can make a case in negotiation, I've been through it with when we formed PowerStream, Markham and Vaughan got together and divided up Richmond Hill and so on. What you do and your negotiator does is you establish where you're going to be in the next 10 to 20 years, what kind of growth you're going to have. And Vaughan, in that case, fortunately had a lot of industrial development. They were heavy-duty hydro users, and even though we had more population, they got a bigger share of PowerStream, now Electra. So our job will be to identify and document and make the case that our utility is going to grow faster than others for a number of reasons, and that affects the valuation placed on our utility. So it isn't what we own today, 53 million or so. It isn't 75 million that we thought we'd be worth in 10 years, but rather what we will see as ongoing growth. So that's all part of the negotiated valuation. Brian Bance, the president of Electra today, and he was president when we worked with him for 6 years, told me that hydro utilities are hot commodities. They are always valued well above market value. And part of the reason is that we make the case for having a greater value than just the 53 million that it's worth today. So we will get our money out of it, but remember, we've already lost $20 million because we didn't join when Barrie did. And if we wait 10 years, we will have lost $100 million. And that's pretty hard to make up. Thank you.
Thank you, Stan. My apologies. This question is for Carolyn Payne, running in Ward 6.
Really?
This question is from Pat. Why are there not lines painted on roads in Big Bay Point and Alcona?
Good question. And I've asked that myself. I have been to the town many times asking for the lines to be put on. I've never had a return phone call. So I'm still working on that. I'm not sure who it was but maybe Mr. Wanless here. Anyway, that is a concern of mine, and I constantly give the town the answer. We need the lines on there for the safety of for cars and the cyclists. So I am working on that, and I'm sorry it hasn't been done. Bear with me. I go by what I'm told at the town, and I'm getting very impatient. So I hope I can get it done.
Thank you, Carolyn. Our next question is for Lynn Dolan from, I believe it's Jamie. What are you going to do about our high electricity rates with InPower?
Thank you for the question. InPower's rates are amongst the highest because of the distribution, but keep in mind that the distribution part of the hydro rate is about 30% of the hydro bill. The balance of the hydro bill is the rates are controlled by the province. We have more land than, say, Toronto. If you want to use Toronto as an example, Toronto's hydro rates are about $2.25, about $2.50 or $2.25 cheaper per month. But if you think of the density in Toronto where the lines have to go versus places in Innisfil, like through the rural agricultural lands and through Big Bay Point with all the trees, the distribution is more expensive in our area. When the annexed lands, when they do build out to the extent that was asked for in the earlier question, all of that will come, all of that is being serviced by InPower, and those efficiencies, it's all about long-term or short-term. If it's, the short-term thing would be to just put it up to the highest bidder and sell it right away. The long-term vision would be to invest in the utility, in the annexed lands, and use those dividends and that revenue to offset tax dollars for the future Innisfil residents.
Thank you. This next question is for lindazanela. I invite you to come to the center of the floor. This question is from Sandy. How do you feel about the pace of growth in Ward 1?
The pace of growth?
The pace of growth in Ward 1.
Ward 1 right now has a subdivision, a new subdivision in the Stroud area, and I think that's maybe what you're referring to. And it is growing very quickly up there. The subdivision that's planned for Ward 1 is not, I'm not on board with that subdivision. I need to know a lot more about how that is going to work. I think it's too big for the area, and I would like to see it curtailed. I understand that we do have to have growth, but I don't think that particular subdivision is a good fit for the area. I don't think it can be serviced properly.
Thank you very much. I think Pastor Courtney turned my microphone off. Thank you, Linda. My apologies. We're having fun with this. How are we doing? Everybody okay? Good. Is this helpful? Are you getting your questions asked and answered? Excellent. Thank you. I have one more. I have one more. Thank you. Wow. Okay. I'm not sure we can do this one because it would mean about 16 minutes of questions. So I'm going to address this because I'm the moderator, so I get to pick. This question is for Barb because it's actually addressed, in all fairness, I'll show it to you, is addressed to all of the mayoral and deputy mayoral candidates. I don't know what you're doing, but I would like to get home before midnight, so I'm going to address this to Barb. Do you as a candidate have confidence in current senior town staff? After the September integrity report, and a yes or no comment response only, please, in the interest of time. So this is a two-part question. If elected, you would have a Simcoe County Council role. So that is why this question is limited to these 8 candidates, as their role is a higher level. We just heard about that. So I believe the question is, and I'll repeat this, do you as a candidate have confidence in current senior town staff after this September integrity report? And I believe that for the purposes of this question, we can go beyond the yes or no comment.
Yes.
Yes? Anything you'd like to add?
Oh, I thought I had one word there, so Deborah, I was sticking to the rules. I haven't been in town hall for 4 years, as you know, And frankly, when I left, staff gave great guidance, and I was satisfied with them then. I have not seen things that upset me, what I have seen in the media and so on. I will say that the code of conduct did not, as far as I read it, point any fingers at staff, but at because the code of conduct had exclusive overview on the members of council. So unless something's happened behind closed doors that we're not aware of, I have confidence.
Thank you very much, Barb. Thank you. A question for Stan, please. From John. What are your thoughts concerning development in the town, especially at Mapleview Drive and the 25th Side Road?
Well, I think it's fair to say that there isn't anybody in staff or in council who is in favor of that intense development among 100 by 200 foot lots. So I'm hoping that our staff will find lots of reasons to say no to anything but something that will really fit that community, like large estates lots or something like that. But a lot of it is wetland. I know the developer's trying to drain it, but that won't fool the Ministry of Natural Resources. They'll see that, and they will freeze anything that looks like wetland. So anyway, it's not appropriate. It is way, actually beyond belief. So I don't think the developer actually believes it has a chance. It's just one of those things where he throws it out and then he comes back with something less.
Thank you, Stan. Thank you very much. This question is directed to Lynn. If you received a $1 million grant to use for the town of Innisfil any way you want, I love these questions. What would you do with it and why?
Oh, if I had $1 million. Roads. We need better roads. We're behind our infrastructure. We could spend $7 million a year for perpetuity and still not have enough money for roads. We do receive federal gas tax money each year, 1.1 million that we put into roads, but it barely makes a dent. And I would love to see roads and with the wider pavement so that you can have little lanes on the side. Plus it helps the integrity of the pavement last longer if it's wider as well. But yeah, roads.
Roads it is. $1 million. Thank you. Oh my. This one is directed to all three of our mayoral candidates. It's a long one, so bear with me. And you can see we are not editing these in any way, shape, or form. This is from Michelle. With a rapidly growing population, how are you going to accommodate the needs of the youth? Nantire is oversaturated with class sizes growing and graduating classes no longer fitting in the school for graduation. Is there a new school on the horizon? There are 2 or 3 more questions in here. I wonder if we could, if it's all right with Michelle, I wonder if we could look at just the school questions here again. How are you going to accommodate the needs of the youth? Is there a new school on the horizon? Please consider the needs of the youth as they are, in caps, our future. May we start with Barb, please?
Thank you, Deborah. I don't know right off the top of my head if there's another secondary school planned in Innisfil because I'm not at the council table right now to see development plans. I know we waited a long time to get Nantire, so the fact of the matter is they don't come quickly. And if I recall, the stats are usually 200% occupancy before another one comes along. So it is a bit in the future. If they're at 100% occupancy now, there's still a waiting game going. And that, of course, is the purview of the school board. and not the municipality. The municipality has to give opportunity for school boards to acquire the land, and that's their responsibility. With regard to youth, I hesitate to tell you how long ago I was a youth, and it was, although I did tell you how long I'd been married, and I wasn't a child bride, so that's not that hard to figure out. I don't think I know what the youth needs. I think that the reality is we have to ask the youth what they need and what's affordable and what's serviceable and what's safe and what is good for the community and good for the youth. But I understand there is a youth council that works with the municipality currently. I think that's a great start. And I think that there's too many youth who don't know about the youth council. So it's one of those things that we have to, again, as Lynn said, tell our news simply and clearly to the community, and we'll have more involvement and more activity around that. But it's certainly them who should tell us, as opposed to me trying to figure it out.
Thank you. Please do clap. Stan, may I repeat this for you? With a rapidly growing population, how are you going to accommodate the needs of the youth? Again, Nantyre is oversaturated with class sizes growing and graduating classes no longer fitting in the school for graduation. Is there a new school on the horizon? Please consider the needs of the youth, as they are our future.
Well, on the question of a secondary school, that's a school board question. I would have no idea what the plans are. But on the subject of youth, one of the things that I did in Thornhill, before I moved here, was form a youth club, form a seniors club. And what was amazing was when we had a youth center added, the youth and seniors are a wonderful mix. Youth don't realize the value of the skills they bring for seniors who want to learn about internet, who want to learn about email and adding attachments to email and so on. And so we had classes run with youth helping. Then I got the town to distribute some computers, that were retired, to the club, and we had people who volunteered to put them into homes and apartments, and the youth were there to configure everything. So seniors don't need a whole lot of space. They just need a little bit of space, office space, and money counting space and so on in the community center, because they make use of facilities that are available during the day. We grew ours to 1,200 seniors, and I had 2 high schools that were involved in supporting that seniors program. And it was really wonderful. So I would like to see something where we bring the youth club, which needs a little bit more space, and a seniors club, which needs a small amount of space. It would be wonderful if we could accommodate them at the rec center somehow.
Thank you. Thank you. Lynn.
Thank you. I concur with the school board is the person that we need to go to for the school. And recently, I know that Wasaga Beach has been advocating very, very hard for a high school and getting very little traction. So I would like to say that the town could advocate to the school board for more high school space, but I can see from our neighbors that hasn't been totally effective. But it's still something we could consider, at least making sure that they've got the up-to-date numbers and understand what our growth plan looks like and how fast we're growing so that they can plan accordingly. The youth committee has done some great work. They've started our youth mobile center, which travels around the community and offers all kinds of fun activities. There's skateboard ramps and there's basketball hoops, and we also have a youth mental health facility that comes to the library and parks there for kids that just want to talk. But I think we could do more. We can expand the committee that we have now, expand the ages, and make sure, as Barb said, that we get them included in the conversation and get them engaged, because they have to be part of building it so that they will make sure it gets taken care of.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you. remember that every single one of these questions will be transcribed and shared with every single candidate. If your question hasn't been asked and answered tonight, it's because it already has been, or it was not directed to someone specific, but it will be shared with every single candidate. This question is for Angela Gravel. May I invite Angela to come to the center of the floor, grab a microphone, and I'll see if I can make this out. This question is from David. In other provinces around big cities, Calgary, Vancouver, Surrey, to name just a few, is there an opportunity to talk to councillors of other small towns? They might be dealing with the same issues, learning from them as well, maybe a perspective from all around the country. Has this been looked into?
Well, is this on? Can you hear? I don't know if, personally, if in fact Innisfil has reached out to other communities, but I can say to you that I know in fact that is an opportunity. There's an association that I actually belong to, which is the Canadian Association of Municipal Administrators, and we have an opportunity to meet with individuals who represent those municipalities from across the province and from across the country. And often, when those folks get together, there's a really great chance that you're going to be able to meet and network with other individuals that are coming and representing from various sizes of municipalities that might be comparable to the size of Innisfil. So not only CAMA, but also AMO, I think could be another organization, which Lynn was part of. So yes, there are really great opportunities and to reach out to folks, and it's a really great initiative when a municipality does do that and reaches out and seeks to look at opportunities to partnership and share information. So
Excellent.
Yes, it can be done.
Thank you very much, Angela. Thank you. How are we doing? Ready for a few more questions? There's a few more in the box. This one is addressed to all three mayoral candidates. From Maria. Traffic has increased in Innisfil. How do you feel about red light cameras and photo radar? I'm going to start on this end of the table with Lynn.
Thank you for the question. Traffic is something I've been hearing at every single door I go to, traffic calming measures, and there are several. I would like to do some more research as to what municipalities have been successful with what types of traffic calming. I know Bradford right now is doing the bollards that make the road look smaller. Barrie's doing the speed humps that they can take away in the wintertime because they can be, a little hard on snowplows. And red light cameras, through the new provincial legislation, Safer Schools Act, red light cameras are now allowed within municipal school zones and community safety zones. So just before, I think it was our last council meeting, we passed a resolution at council to have staff investigate the whether or not we could put red light cameras in school zones, and that any revenue generated from that would go directly into traffic calming measures. So staff's already been given that direction to come back and see if this is something that would be feasible to stop, because our deputy chief of police watched dozens of cars go through a red light at a school crossing. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you. Stan, would you like me to repeat the question? Traffic has increased in Innisfil. How do you feel about red light cameras and photo radar?
I think it's a great idea, and the public seems to be welcoming it and embracing the notion. I know I attended a meeting in Bradford where there was a presentation from Toronto. Toronto maintains or supports red light cameras wherever they're installed, and we heard some of their concerns and how they were addressed. I had chaired a committee meeting in Markham where we had representatives from Toronto and other areas, and we had people come in and talk about red light cameras. And it increases some rear-end collisions for a while until people get accustomed to the fact that you're going to slow down and stop. So I think they're a great idea. I think photo radar is a great idea. In fact, I proposed it to the province many years ago on streets within 50 to 60 kilometer zones so that we could slow traffic. But one of the most effective ways of doing this is with a road watch program. Road watch program is very effective, and I intend to work with the police to see whether we can implement that in Innisfil. In 1 year that I chaired the Safe Streets Task Force in Markham, we reduced speeding complaints by 95% in 1 year. And it was mostly the road watch program and the safety village in King, I think, where kids get to drive electric cars with traffic lights and stop signs and road markings and so on. And that gets passed on to their fathers and mother drivers and is very effective. So there's lots we can do. I don't like speed humps, and the reason I don't like them is that they're very difficult for seniors, people with back and neck problems, ambulances, fire engines. It creates huge problems, and I learned a lot about this in a series of hearings that I held from a number of our roads people and fire people and so on. And so.
Thank you, Stan. Thank you. Barb, may I repeat the question for you?
That's okay. The short answer is yes, I believe in red light cameras in school zones. That's a no-brainer. The other one is the issue of photo radar. I think that would apply. I would really support that in residential areas, because we're the same people who want speed bumps or other traffic calming measures. It's on residential streets where people seem to, if it's posted at 50, we all know everybody does 60. And so by having a photo radar in those kind of environments where we have it specifically lowered because of the type of people, the type of street it is. So if it's 50 or lower, I'm okay with photo radar too. It's one of those, you do the crime, you do the time, and then you pay the fine.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you very much. We have a question for Angela Gravel. May I ask you to come down to the center of the floor?
She's back.
This question is from David. What are your thoughts and plans for the proposed development in Stroud?
The proposed development in Stroud, I think that if I get elected as mayor, or as deputy mayor, not to take over your roles just yet, I really do need to take some time to look at that proposed development. So, so that's where I am at with that. I need to take some time to take a look at that proposed development.
May I ask you to remain? Thank you,
Sure.
Angela, thank you. May I ask you to remain? This question is for both Lynn Dolan and you, from Diane. Our land is going fast to development. What steps can be taken to protect and conserve it, what we have that is not yet in the hands of developers? What steps can we take to protect and conserve the land we have that is not yet in the hands of developers? May I start with you, Lynn?
Thank you for the question. I think the important thing here is a really robust official plan that's driven from the bottom up from the community, and that the zoning bylaw then matches that official plan, and all of the natural heritage mapping and the greenlands are protected through that process. The reason that's important is because in the past, the Ontario Municipal Board has been a tool that developers used to get what wasn't in our official plan. So if we said no to a development, it would go to the board, and quite often the board would side on the side of the developer, because it was a de novo process and they wouldn't have to consider what council had already decided upon. So now that's been changed. The new system is called the local Planning Appeals Tribunal, or LPAT for short, and basically it curtails the opportunity for a developer to go to that appeal if it meets with our official plan. So it takes the, I think it levels the playing field and allows municipalities to be bolder with developers, because now we aren't fearful of going in front of the Ontario Municipal Board and perhaps losing. So that way we're emboldened to uphold our official plan now, and I think that's good news.
Thank you, Lynn. Angela, would you like me to repeat the question?
Well, no, I would agree with Lynn, but I also would like to suggest that I think the development needs to also be focused in the urban growth nodes that have already been designated. And then to your point, going back to the Stroud development, I have spoken to a lot of area residents in the Stroud area who have lots of complaint about the proposed development, as well as traffic issues and other issues too. So I would just need to take some time to take a look at that. And I think it would be a good idea, or maybe it could be a valuable idea for people like myself, as well as the citizens, to have a list, or maybe you do already that I'm not aware of, have a list of all the proposed developments that are slated for development throughout the entire community, so that we're aware of what's going to be happening.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you. This next question is from Maria. It is for Barb. Risk assessment has been poor and inefficient, from sudden increases in costs to health projects to a lack of provisions for future improvement of services, for example, the flush crunch. How are you going to make transparency a reality and keep taxpayers informed of how their hard-earned dollars are spent?
Deborah, could I ask you to read the first sentence again? I missed that.
Risk assessment has been poor and inefficient, from sudden increases in costs to health projects to a lack of provisions for future improvement of services, for example, the flush crunch. How are you going to make transparency a reality and keep taxpayers informed of how their hard-earned dollars are spent?
Communication is key to an informed public and an informed council. I noticed that when I left the mayor's office and started the other Facebook page about From the Other Side of the Desk, because you learn so much at town hall, but other people don't know all those things that are there. And I found that communication was simple and direct in a variety of ways, whether it was email or Facebook or conversationally. So I think as we make decisions or are about to make a decision, we have to get the news out to our community. Now, there is a reciprocal responsibility. If it's posted somewhere on a website or a mayor's page or a deputy mayor's page, you have to look at it. That's the thing. I don't know about the other candidates, but going door to door to tell a message is getting tiring and taking up a lot of time, although it is quite enjoyable. So as far as communication, which I think is key to everything, that I think we just need to do a whole lot better job about communicating what's coming up and what's going to happen.
Thank you, Barb. Thank you very much. Again, I have a question directed to all the mayors and, all the mayoral candidates and deputy mayoral candidates. For the purposes of this exercise tonight, we're going to address it to the 3 mayoral candidates. The deputy mayoral candidates will also get this question. This question is from Julia. How hard do you believe it is to put aside the town of Innisfil's interests to vote on County of Simcoe Council for what is best for the whole region? Again, I can repeat that if you like. How hard do you believe it is to put aside the town of Innisfil's interests to vote on County of Simcoe's Council for what is best for the whole region? I'm going to start with Stan, please.
How do I set aside or decide, to go with what's best for the county versus Innisfil? I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem. I think we don't have a difficulty in recognizing that the good of the whole that we represent is the right thing to do. And yeah, sometimes we'll lose something, like the school development charges and so on. But we have to do what's right for the whole county when we're serving in the county.
Thank you, Stan. Lynn.
Thank you. Yes, we have to do you have to remember which hat you're wearing, but I'm not going to say it's easy because it isn't. It's difficult. Luckily, there hasn't been in the last 4 years a lot of decisions that have gone contrary, but we've done a lot, I believe, to develop a good relationship at the county. And how you do that is you can't always win. It can't always be about you. It can't always be about Innisfil. You have to care about what's going on in Ramera and in Severn. You have to worry, you have to think of the issues that they're going to too. But by doing that, it comes back to you, because when you do need them, when you call your county councillors and you say, hey, look, this is important to me, they'll respond back to you because you've earned their respect, because you've also taken into account their situations. And for the most part, I think it's worked well. And over the past 4 years, I can say that Innisfil is well respected by the county council.
Thank you, Lynn. Barb.
Thank you, Deborah. I think that it does depend which hat you have on at the time the questions are asked, but Innisfil is one of the largest members of the County of Simcoe and therefore has sometimes accelerated needs for different services or different types of things. And it takes a relationship with your colleagues at County Council to explain why it's important for Innisfil. And the reality is that South Simcoe municipalities, when I was mayor, we met, I think it was quarterly at the least amount and monthly when necessary to deal with issues that were common to all of us. And they were very productive meetings, so that by the time we got to the county, we already knew how each other was feeling on issues, and we worked together to ensure that South Simcoe was well represented. We certainly have the largest population base in South Simcoe compared to North Simcoe, but they are still our municipal partners at the county. And things like waste management is sometimes seen totally different at the County of Simcoe North municipalities and the South municipalities, just by virtue of the type of properties they have. So we work together to make sure things happen to the best interest of everyone and not to the detriment of anyone. So it isn't a hard thing to do. I've done it, and it's usually collaborative. So it's usually coming to an answer that suits everyone.
Thank you very much, Barb. Thank you. This question is for Stan from Josephine. Innisfil Beach Park is about beaches not being accessible to residents in the summer due to out-of-town visitors. What about the winter? Gates are forced open to allow snowmobiles and ATVs to access the park by residents, litter left by residents, dog messes left by residents. We have to do our part. Not sure what the question is there. Not really sure what the question is there.
Yeah, well, I think we're talking about the use of the park during the winter, and we certainly want to increase the use of the park during the winter with the right kinds of facilities. And I know I had to get staff out to empty waste barrels and so on during a time when they didn't normally do that, because we did have more winter activity than we had expected. But we need to, when we bring people together to talk about this more long-range plan for the park, how we're going to address all of the concerns that we've heard, that I've heard over the last 4 years, At that time, we should be talking about what kinds of things we should be doing to make winter use of the park something that we would enjoy.
Thank you, Stan. Thank you, Madam Timer. We're going to take 2 minutes each with this question from Tony. I'm going to address it. It's all right with you, Tony. I'm going to address it to all of the mayoral candidates. Development in Innisfil is running unchecked, it seems. What can you do to ensure growth is sustainable and managed properly? I'm going to end the question there because we only have 2 minutes. It seems development in Innisfil is running unchecked. What can you do to ensure growth is sustainable and managed properly? May I start with Lynn, please?
Thank you very much. I think one of the things that we can do is to make sure that residents understand the amount of work that goes in behind the scenes of a development, and the layers upon layers of work that goes in. And I know it seems like it's unchecked, but it's sometimes the way that it progresses. So when you have the whole official plan document that we all agree on and we're all engaged in and we vote on it, and then we add the layers of the zoning bylaw, then we add the stormwater management, the master transportation plan, the master servicing plan, and all of the natural heritage mapping, and we put that all together. So when you see a development over here that with a road that looks like it's going nowhere, and then another piece of the puzzle up here, it's because this piece isn't built yet. It's the same with the park system, where some developers will have one bigger park as opposed to another piece of development that doesn't have a park. So it's all about understanding the big picture, and looking at the tip of the iceberg is when the backhoe shows up in your backyard, and understanding the 10 years of work that went on to, before that, to make sure that it is responsible growth.
Thank you, Lynn. Josh, I hope you remember the question because I think it just disappeared. We're talking about sustainable growth.
Okay, so one of the things that has created problems, our objective is to grow at a rate at which the new population can be assimilated into the community. One of the problems that was created during the last 10 years or more was that we had residential development and we didn't have the supporting commercial, retail, and industrial development. And I know that it was hard to get it started, but making developers partner with commercial and industrial and retail builders, and creating phases that say, by the time you complete this much, you need to deliver this much residential or this much commercial and retail, that would have helped a lot. And I think it's something we need to look at going forward so that we keep growth balanced. So we have the services we need for those new residents. I think that's one thing we could do.
Thank you, Stan. Barb.
Thank you. This is the last question?
It is.
Excellent. That means the party can start a little.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. The reason it appears to the public as unchecked is because we're a designated growth area to the tune of around 56,000 people, if I recall correctly. And so all the invisible work that Lynn referred to that is happening to get it ready, residents don't care about that. They only know what's happening in their backyard. And in their backyard, there are big machines moving earth, creating dust, creating noise. And we did put we had a bylaw that stopped when, or dictated when construction could start and when it had to stop. And then they got to apply for exceptions, and it seemed to me that we had more exceptions than we had normalcy. And I think that's part of, if I'm interpreting the question correctly, it interferes with the normal enjoyment of people's homes and their backyards and their family life. And so I think that what is reasonable at the very least to expect is a schedule. When a development starts putting the shovel in the ground, that it can be a published schedule of when they expect that nasty, dirty, dirt flying everywhere stuff to be finished, and when they can begin to enjoy the home that they've purchased and bought to raise a family in or are retiring in. And I think it's being informed as to what's happening and when it's happening and what could be expected that is really a missing piece from our community.
Thank you, Barb.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to do something I don't normally do. I'm going to run 2 minutes over. Can you stay with me just for a second? May I have all the volunteers who helped out with the 4 to 6 meet and greet and the 7 to 9:30 debate, please stand and receive some applause. This event would not have been possible with all of the volunteers here tonight. Thank you so much. May I have the candidates up on the stage, please? Every one of you. Please. 1 minute. I know, you gotta move. 1 minute.
Madam Moderator, while you're doing that, can I just take a moment to thank you for such a fair and debate? Thank you.
Did we learn something tonight? How many of you are going to vote? Thank you. Thank you. This was not easy tonight for anyone here. And I think all of our candidates did an amazing job. Please give them a round of applause and vote.